Here's some big news coming in after Afridi and Pakistan board threat. Ex-Pakistan cricketers boycott call grows. Kamran Akmal calls for the World Cup match boycott. Akmal says boycott T20 World Cup game against India. In fact, Pakistan board must take a stronger stance. This is the big news that we're currently tracking after Afridi and Pakistan board threat. Now, we see another Pakistan cricketer, ex-Pakistan cricketer, echoing these boycott calls. Kamran Akmal calls for the boycott of the World Cup match. Akmal says boycott T20 game against India. Pakistan board must take a stronger stance. Shah's boycott Asia Cup in Pakistan irks Pakistan. In fact, after India says that they should be boycotting Pakistan. Now Pakistan returning with their anger, saying that Pakistan must boycott India in the games. In fact, he says that boycott T20 World Cup game against India. This is precisely what he said. Let me take you through what exactly he said.
BCCI को जैसे उनके अंडर है क्रिकेट, उनके चीफ हैं जय शाह, लेकिन उनको ऐसी स्टेटमेंट देनी नहीं चाहिए। वो सियासत जरूर करें, जिनके वो बेटे हैं जरूर करें। ऑपोजिशन जो उनकी इंडिया में है उनके खिलाफ करें, ना कि आप क्या नाम है इंटरनेशनली क्रिकेट को, स्पोर्ट्स को सियासत में लेके आएंगे तो फिर वो अच्छा मैसेज नहीं है।
All right, let me quickly cut across to Nikhil Naz, joining us for more on that. Nikhil, a quick word. We see now Pakistan has reacted strongly to India's boycott calls. Now they say that we want to boycott the T20 World Cup game against India. Tell us a little more on this whole controversy.
Well, Namila, it's a bit ironic, that I'm coming to you live from Melbourne Cricket Ground, which is right behind me, one of the most iconic cricket venues. This is going to be the venue which is going to be hosting arguably the biggest game on the planet, because it is expected to be watched by most number of people. It's going to be a record-breaking encounter, and guess which are the two teams playing? It's India and Pakistan. And here we are also talking about boycotting India versus Pakistan game. So as things stand right now, reporting to you live from Australia in Melbourne, the venue of that India-Pakistan encounter, these sort of noises are only in the periphery. What you heard from Kamran Akmal may not hold true of what right now the PCB may be feeling, or what right now is the status of the current India-Pakistan game that will be played here at the T20 World Cup. That's pretty much on. I think the only hindrance in that game would be the weather, because it's expected to rain, but nothing more than that. Now coming to the Asia Cup, and I know that India has made it very clear that the Asia Cup that is supposed to be held in Pakistan in 2023, India couldn't be going there. That's because of the current political situation that we have, and this is a standard response that we've seen from India, and this is a sort of thing that they've followed for a few years now, where they haven't had bilateral series with Pakistan. They've played in multinational tournaments, but not bilateral. Now Asia Cup, many would argue, is a multinational tournament, so why would India want to be playing there? And that is something that Jay Shah, who's the secretary of the board, made it very clear is something that the government has decided. And at the moment, the Indian government has decided not to send the team to Pakistan. Now, if you look at the Asia Cup per se, it's a tournament that is run just between a few limited countries in Asia, and we haven't seen an Asia Cup either in India or in Pakistan, probably because of the reasons that both teams would right now not be wanting to play in each other's homeland, and that's why we haven't seen it. So I did not find that surprising that the Asian Cricket Council or the BCCI decided not to play the Asia Cup game in Pakistan. But if you're going to extend it to the ICC tournament, then I'd say that that'd be pushing too much, and that would be a bit of an overreaction coming from Pakistan. 2025 is when Pakistan is hosting the ICC Champions Trophy, and even though it's pretty early to say that, but I doubt the Indian team will not be traveling for that, because that's an ICC tournament. So the stand is pretty clear that in ICC tournaments, so long as it's safe to travel to Pakistan, most likely you'll see an Indian team going there. And so before that, Pakistan to boycott, saying that, listen, we won't play the 2023 World Cup in India, or, boycott this particular game that you'll have in the T20 World Cup in Australia, I think is an overreaction. And I think it comes from certain players that may not be in tune with what the governments of both countries decide, or what even the cricket boards of those two countries decide. So I think ICC tournaments are not going to be an issue. I think India will play Pakistan, maybe even in Pakistan in 2025 Champions Trophy. The issue right now is Asia Cup, which is just a continental tournament, and bilateral series, and that's the stand that has been there throughout for a long time. So nothing much has changed in that. And so then when you look at the reaction coming from Pakistan, it does seem to be a bit of an exaggeration.
But Nikhil, I'd really like to ask you: is this a real possibility for India and Pakistan really not to play a match? This grouse that they have with one another. Eventually, what we see on field is possibly the most watched. When India and Pakistan plays, the entire world takes note of it. So for them to boycott one another, is there even a possibility for this to be a cancelled show?
No, not so far as the T20 World Cup game that will be played in a few days' time right here at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. I don't see any possibility there. There's no statement that has come out from the PCB or any of the team members that are right now part of this World Cup. Remember, all teams are already in Australia. So that game is not under doubt. What you're getting to hear from Pakistan, and mostly former players that don't have any skin in the game as far as the decisions taken by the Pakistan cricket board is concerned, they've come out and said, and this is a bit reciprocal, after India decided not to travel for the Asia Cup to be held in Pakistan. I think for India not to travel to Asia Cup, there is a precedent there. We have seen Asia Cups being shifted out of the venues that they had already been decided earlier. Pakistan was the host, it was shifted out. So it's not out of the usual. I think it's a bit of hyperbole at the moment. So Asia Cup moving out is something that has been done before. But if you're going to mix it with an ICC tournament, and I think that's the mistake that most former players are doing, I think that would be an exaggeration. That would be pushing it a bit too far. As I said, India play a T20 World Cup game here, India-Pakistan, they will go ahead and play that. Most likely you will see India and Pakistan play in the T20 World Cup in a 50-over format in the 2023 World Cup. That will take place in India. And then you will also have a scenario where India could travel to Pakistan in 2025 to play the Champions Trophy. Remember, all these tournaments that I'm talking to you about are ICC tournaments. And I think the Indian stand is pretty clear that ICC tournaments, multinational tournaments, and if Pakistan is in their group or they come across Pakistan, they will play that. It's only bilateral series that's been an issue, and it's also sometimes extended to an Asia Cup, which is a continental tournament in which India and Pakistan play a major role, in which case you can shift the venue outside to a neutral venue just so as to avoid India and Pakistan playing each other on each other's home turf. So I think we're mixing a couple of issues, and a lot of former players are guilty of doing that. But overall, I think a better sense is going to prevail, and all the big tournaments that you see, all the big encounters in ICC, they should go ahead as planned.